The Kenise and Marc Show. The Kenise and Marc Show. Make sure you tune into the Kenise and Marc Show.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Kenise and Marc Show. I am Kenise.
I'm Mark.
And it's all about relationship. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Today, we are going to talk about, our topic is empowering each other. So we're going to start off with the first part of the show to talk about in a relationship setting. And then when we come back from our commercial break, we're going to talk about empowering children, the children in your life. So Mark, why don't you take it off?
Empowerment, in my opinion, consistent, repetitive accolades.
Consistent, repetitive. I gotta write that down because you said consistent, repetitive accolades. That's CRA.
Yes.
CRA.
Yes. I mean, you have to go the extra mile when in my opinion, when you're going to empower somebody to do what they're supposed to be, what they were called to do, or just to even encourage them to, whatever their goals are, they would like to achieve. You have to constantly remind them and pour into them, love and encouragement, positivity. You just have to go the extra mile. That's how I see it right here.
Yeah, the extra mile.
Just going the extra mile.
I think a great example, when we talked about the topic before doing the show, is when I came into your studio, I had somebody else empowering me.
Yes.
To a certain extent. I came into the music lab and I met with you, and then maybe, would you say like a month later?
Yes.
We selected a date to start recording, right, to work on my album, and I told you I was going through a divorce, and honestly, Mark, you empowered me to finish this album 2 years ago when I completed it, because I don't think I would have been able to make it. Oh, I need tissues. Where are the tissues? We have tissues on this show. It's all about relationships. But you said going the extra mile, and I think that's exactly what you did. But it's not the extra mile. Like, you went above and beyond what any producer would do for any of their clients. Because I'm sure if I would have called any other producer, they would have been like, oh, well, I'm really sorry to hear that. Call me back when you're ready.
Yeah, but not just saying all that. This is like totally taking a different turn. But I felt obligated, because when you first came, your ex was with you.
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't planned. As far as I know, I don't know what happened, but then the next thing I know is like, 1 minute you guys are together, the next minute you're not together. And it was like, okay, but we've come into this project, and he was gonna, from what I remember, he had a lot to do with
The music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, so now what are we going to do? So it wasn't even about just getting through the project. It's like emotionally, you needed to keep going.
Right. And I think that's the most important times in a relationship. We have a friendship relationship, but imagine if you're using this component in your love relationship. When somebody is at their bottom lowest, they're at the bottom of the barrel. That's because I was rock hard bottom of the barrel. I was below the bottom of the barrel.
When I realized it, I knew that this was this, all of a sudden the whole thing got awkward with your ex, just whatever, just not being around. But when it really hit me is like, right before we got started on your project, I asked you to do I'm Sorry,
Please Forgive
Me song.
Right.
And I asked you to do the duet with me. And then I realized that you listened to the lyrics and you really had a hard time. It's like you mentioned so many times, you practically hated the song.
Mm-hmm.
So in all seriousness, after I saw that, okay, we got through that, but it was a struggle, and then I'm like, okay, now we got to work on your album. I'm like, okay, this is really going to be a task. So again, when I think of empowerment, it's just going the extra mile, just really just going all out, because that person that you care about is going to need it.
Right. And if you're in a relationship and they say one person loses their job or isn't feeling well, and if the other person, it turns around and like kicks them, you know, not literally, but just, you know, continue to bash them and say, well, you know, you need to find a job, or you need, whether it's a male or female, it doesn't matter. That's not empowering. You said when you think of the word empowerment, you're thinking going the extra mile. And I think that's when the person needs you the most.
Man.
You know, so empowerment doesn't really come, nobody really needs empowerment when they're on their top of the world. You know, it's great, but
You don't need it.
yeah, you don't need it. People want to feel empowered when they're like in the bottom of the barrel. You know, so imagine if you practice what you said, because you took me and you helped empower me, believed in me. So maybe for me, maybe empowerment is somebody who believes in you, regardless of where you are in your life, and maybe you don't have all of the skill set.
I agree with that.
You know, maybe it's somebody who, so in a spousal relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, you know, that person needs to believe in you. That will help empower you to the next level. So when we come back from our commercial break, we're going to talk about empowering a little bit more your spouse, significant other, and also your children. Welcome back to the Kenise and Marc show. Today we're talking about empowering your partner, empowering your children. Earlier in the show I brought up kind of my example of what I felt, me feeling empowered by Marc, and you continuously do that. So when I came into the studio to record my first album, how you empowered me with what I was going on, and we ended the first half of the show talking about empowerment is kind of believing in the person when sometimes they're at the bottom and they don't even believe in themselves, and that takes true friendship. There's not a lot of friends that do that, and we weren't even really that close.
We really had just met. But
so that means how wonderful of a person you are, Marc. Can we all just stand up and give a round of applause? But so we're talking about, imagine people utilizing this skill of empowering. We don't do that enough in our lives, Marc. We don't, because we're so tied up with our own personal life, even people when we work with people in our churches, that, you know, we don't help to push them to their next level.
And we don't always have to know the person.
No, because my example is that you didn't know me.
I didn't know you, but I saw and knew enough of you. It was like, okay, you're talented, you wrote these songs, and you're a singer, you're a worship leader in your church. I'm like, I think sometimes we just have to pause. Just stop and pay attention and look at somebody else and stop looking at yourself all the time. Look at somebody else and see what it is they have to offer. Mm-hmm. And if you can lend a helping hand and push and boost, then do so. I think that's part of the problem. We just don't settle down enough and just pay attention.
Right. And I love how you said you're not being selfish. You're not being selfish at all, because you weren't selfish at all. You weren't thinking about Marc. If you were thinking about Marc when I came into your studio, Marc would be like, all right, you know what, Kenise, good luck. Thank you so much. You know, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. Right. You know, hit me up when you're ready to go, because I got other clients waiting for me. You didn't do that. That would have been a selfish act. So, I mean, and this translates over also, we're both parents. Not of the same children, but we're both parents. And I think it's so important. You wouldn't be where you are today without your parents believing in you and empowering you, Marc. And the same with me.
Jesus.
So
I can't even think what my life would be like without my parents.
I know you're very close with your parents. Same here.
And they constantly, both my mom and dad, they constantly just pour into me.
Still. And we're not 18 anymore, right? We're not 16, 17 anymore, right?
Still, my dad doesn't say too much, but when he does talk, it's like he's always just, you know, son, you can do it. But my mom is the verbal one, and she's constantly encouraging me, constantly pouring into me. I thank God for them every day.
Right.
Every day.
And then we have to reciprocate that, because I think it's a lot of kids end up sometimes where they are right now in very weird situations, or they don't know who they are. You know, they're trying to find their identity, they're trying to find out where they should go, what they should be doing. It's because their parents lack to really empower them. They're getting empowerment from the wrong people, the wrong places, the wrong types of music that they listen to. Maybe they're looking at like shows on television or other things to give them some type of, you know, somebody to believe in them. So, but if parents would just take their position. I saw a video which is so profound on Facebook. I saw it was a family sitting for dinner, and 2 sons sitting with the mom and dad. They were Asians, so they were having like an Asian meal, and little younger son had his report card, so he had it like in his hand, and on the report card it had a C, you know, in red, like bright red. And his older brother is sitting over here. And his older brother like hands the report card to the mom and saying, "Oh mom, look what I got," and it was all A's all the way down, you know, and he's still sitting there, he's looking at the mom, he's looking at his brother, he's looking at his dad, and he's holding his report card with this red big fat C on there, and he's looking, you know, and the mom is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you," to the older brother, and she goes, "You know, give me your report card." So he hands the report card, and the brother is like, you know, because the brother knows. So the mom looks at the report card, and she looks at the son, and she looks at the report card, and she looks at how he's so broken. You know, he's so like so sad. And she puts the report card down, and she takes the dumpling from the table, and she puts it in his plate, and she's like, "Mom is proud of you. Mom, this is what," she's like, "Mom is proud of you." And that was so touching, because imagine if she would have reprimanded him. Like all of us probably, that's our first inclination as parents, like, "What are you doing? What are you like, what is wrong with you?" Why did she, it played back where she saw him as she was looking at him, it played back to her seeing him studying for the test. And it was really late, and he was like falling asleep at his desk. And she realized that he didn't make the effort, and the C was the most he could have gotten.
Yeah. He's not being a bum.
But that alone was empowering him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful story.
Isn't it?
That's a wonderful story, and I just wish more of us were like that. You just hit the nail on the head. Our first reaction is usually, "What are you doing?"
Right. Right.
You know, but you know, look at the kid and his character, and obviously he's a good student. He did well in everything else, right? He just struggled in that area.
Yeah. So it's so important, and how we empower our kids, and it's so important. You know, Mark and I started the show to talk about relationships. This all plays an important role in your relationship. If we can all practice empowering and believing in people when they're at the height of their life, or whether they're in the bottom of their life, and you can be there for somebody, it returns. It comes back around.
Even if you don't know them.
Even if he didn't know me. He didn't know me from Adam.
Right.
I was an Indian girl with hair and powder, but I was willing to give him some powder.
You will never let that powder go.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, powder, you gotta go back and watch our other. That means you gotta watch all of our episodes. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Kenise and Marc Show. Check us out on YouTube and like us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, and at the end of the show, it has Mark's website, my website. You know, hit us up and send us an email with your comments or questions. We would love to hear from you guys. I am Kenise.
I am Marc.
We love you all.
Peace.
Make sure you tune into the Kenise